What it is, y'all, we are back with the breakdown and the new setup. I built a new machine a little while ago, had to rearrange some things, still trying it out, figuring it out, but we're gonna see how this works. We still got the blue light, so things are good, and we're gonna keep breaking down some new music. Actually not so new. If you're not one of the like 1.5 billion people that has seen this lyric or music video, I don't know what to tell you. This is Sunflower by Post Malone and Swae Lee. And I've obviously heard this song a lot. It's been around forever. I really think it was one of the best songs of that year. So I wanted to break it down. And I'm gonna try to let it go, let it flow a little bit longer before stopping, listening to sections and then really breaking that down a little bit after. Now, if you haven't heard the song, go listen to it, because I'm not gonna listen to it all the way through. That's not what we do here. Go ahead and go listen to it and come back, and then we'll talk about it. Without further ado though, let's go ahead and jump into it. This is Sunflower by Post Malone and Swae Lee. Let's see what they got for us today. Fairly long intro, about 30 seconds. And it just has such a good lo-fi kind of sound. We start out with the rhythm. And if you notice on the kick, they're layering the kick in this intro. We start out with this very kind of vinyl sample kind of beat. And notice how when a bit more of the production comes in, the kick gets a lot deeper, a lot more bassy. And I think they're layering a couple samples together. So here in this intro, you can hear it's kind of a punchy, but very kind of high kick sound. And then a lot more throat in this second part of the intro. So I think they're layering the samples there. That's pretty common. If you like the high end of one sample, the low end of another, you can just layer them on top of each other and you get the sound you want. Okay, what else have we got? The vocal elements are obviously a huge part, probably the focal point of this intro. And even though it's so long, about 30 seconds like we talked about, in a 2-minute and 40-second song, which is a large portion of it, I think it plays a huge part in not just setting up the song from a vibe standpoint. I don't know, it really almost gives it a story-like element for me. So the vocal elements are huge. Highly processed. We got a lot of delay, a lot of reverb on it. Some auto-tune, which just makes it nice and crisp. But I think there's two elements. Well, before I talk about that, the kind of a synth bass, which is carrying the chord progression, right? But there's two elements for me that really make this intro. And they're pretty subtle. One is this little counter rhythm sample. I don't really know what it is. There's two notes, slightly detuned notes. One's to the left ear, one's down the center. It almost sounds like a metallic kind of synth sound. And then on top of that is the electric piano with very, with very slight chords. Sorry about that. Let me tighten this up. Just giving it some, I don't know, it's a very, how do I describe it? It's a calming sort of sound. Sort of like that storytelling kind of idea I was talking about before. Those two elements just make it for me. And they're not the things that stand out to you right away when you listen to this song. But that's why production is so cool, because it's the layered elements, the ones that you're subconsciously feeling but not necessarily hearing, that a lot of times make or break a song. And it's this song is chock full of that.
To say I keep a check. She was a bad, bad, nevertheless. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby, you're a wreck. Needless to say, I'm keeping a check. She was a bad, bad, nevertheless. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby, you're a wreck. Thinking in a bad way, losing your grip. Screaming at my face, baby, don't trip. Someone took a big L, don't know how that felt. Looking at your side.
Oh man, so much to talk about. So the rhythm has stayed the same. But we have a layer on top of the bass where, again, it's kind of getting a lot more, well, bassy here in the verse when the vocals come in. But there is so much going on in the background that will pass you by. But let's really dig in there, see if we can listen to it. The two things I noticed right off the bat was a synthesizer, almost a counter melody that comes in and out, and the vocal elements are still back there, and they're playing off each other, and it's a juxtaposition to the actual melody of the song. Let's listen to this through one more time.
She was a bad, bad, nevertheless. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby, you're a wreck.
Like even in that 8-second, 9-second section, there were two vocal elements that were in the background and a little synth line. Listen to it one more time. See if you can pick it out.
Bad, bad, nevertheless. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby, you're a wreck. Needless to say, I'm keeping a check. She was a bad, bad, nevertheless. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby.
There we got a little bit higher vocal elements, but that synthesizer is just going kind of crazy, even though it's very, very far back in the mix. And this part's interesting. It's not the pre-chorus yet. It's I believe a second half of a verse, but they pull out the percussion.
Screaming at my face, baby.
Aside from the hi-hat.
Don't trip. Someone took a big L, don't know how that.
So we can hear the vocal elements, the production elements a little bit better here. And I thought it was good because this song is not very long and there's not very many sections to it. In fact, we're going to talk about it later. It lacks a bridge or any sort of break. And so I think this was a tool that they used, even though it's still a verse, to kind of give it, to break it up slightly. And it sounds, I mean, fantastic.
Thinking in a bad way, losing your grip. Screaming at my face, baby, don't trip. Someone took a big L, don't know how that felt. Looking at
and now they've introduced
sideways, party on tilt.
They've introduced the electric guitar, and that's going to come in the pre-chorus.
Someone took a big L, don't know how that felt. Looking at you.
But here, I don't know if they've had it playing in the previous part of this first verse. I don't think so. But now they're introducing some picked chords on an electric guitar here in the background. Very subtle, but this is going to tie into the pre-chorus.
Big L, don't know how that felt. Looking at you sideways, party on tilt. Ooh, certain things you just can't refuse. She wanna ride like a cruise, and I'm not trying to lose. Then you're left.
Electric guitar's there, and it doesn't feel jarring when they pull everything back and just have a guitar, because we've actually heard it before in the previous half of that first verse. But it's that electric guitar just doing some, picking the chords with a, one note at a time, real simple. That synthesizer counter melody still playing, and that's really it as far as what's underneath the vocal.
And she wanna ride like a cruise, and I'm not trying to lose.
And it's broken. It breaks this song up beautifully, where at about a minute, when this part starts, and this is leading us into the chorus, and the percussion, that very compressed analog style percussion has been driving this song thus far, and it's going to do the same in the chorus. And so this pre-chorus really sets us up nicely.
In a bad way, losing my face, baby, don't trip. Someone took a big L, don't know how that felt. Looking at you sideways, party on tilt. Ooh, certain things you just can't refuse. She wanna ride like a cruise, and I'm not trying to lose. Then you're left in that.
I just want to point out the beautiful transition of snare and the walk down with the synthesizer into the chorus. Very simple, but it's all that you need, because it's going to be supported by this chorus, which honestly, I feel like the melody in this chorus is one of the best of any current mainstream pop song. I love the melody.
Then you're left in the dust, unless I stuck by you. You're a sunflower. I think your love would be too much, or you'd be left in the dust, unless I stuck by you. You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower. Every time.
So good. So soothing, but biting at the same time. I'm pretty sure the production is nearly identical to what we have in the verses.
Baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby.
With the addition of a slightly more distorted sort of mid-range synth supporting the bass.
I'm trying to lose. Then you're left in the dust, unless I stuck by you. You're a sunflower. I think your love would be too much, or you'd be left in the dust, unless I stuck by you. You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower. Every time.
Super good. Yeah, and because we had that pretty basic from just a number of elements pre-chorus, and because this chorus melody is so striking, all we need is that same kind of sound from the verses, and it works great. The hook.
You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower. Fire. You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower.
So on that very last repeat of Sunflower,
you're the sunflower.
we just leave in that synth and the bass. Everything else comes out.
The sunflower. You're the sunflower. Every time I'm leaving on you, you don't make it easy, no. Wish I could be there for you. Give me a reason to. Oh, every time I'm walking out, I can hear you telling me to turn around. Fighting for my trust and you won't back down. Even if we gotta risk it all right now. I know you're scared.
All right, so we have a very classic start to this second verse.
You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower. Every time I'm leaving on you, you don't make it easy, no.
Where it pulls out and leaves just a couple elements in for that first bar or two of the verse, and then we come in with everything, percussion, everything after those first two bars. Breaks it up, sort of like the pre-chorus. It's like a post-chorus, you could say. Very, very common in production nowadays. Aside from that, the main thing that's changed is what? It's the singer. Now we have Post Malone coming in here, and that gives, I think, enough of a change where It's going to hold our interest without having to change a bunch of elements. But if you noticed, all the vocal elements behind the melody are also changed with the singer. It's Post Malone instead of Swae Lee doing it this time around. And it really lets us know, that we've had a shift.
You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower. Every time I'm leaving on you, you don't make it easy, no. Wish I could beat it.
I'm just realizing now, almost every transition in this song has that little walk down. Ooh.
Wish I could make it easy, no. Wish I could beat it for you. Give me a reason to. Oh, every time I'm walking.
Oh, and I should mention too, the melody's different in this verse.
I can hear you telling me.
But you almost don't notice that.
Nevertheless, calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. You don't make it easy, no. Wish I could beat it for you. Give me a reason to.
The first verse sounds a little bit more of a rap almost. And then this sounds a little more pop. But the vibe is captured so well by both vocalists that you almost don't really notice that, and it doesn't matter. However, that is helping to set this apart from verse 1 as well.
Every time I'm walking out, I can hear you telling me to turn around. Fighting for my trust and you won't back down. Even if we gotta risk it all right now. I know you're scared of the unknown. You don't wanna be alone. I know I always come and go, but it's out of my control. And you'll be left in the.
So that is sort of the counterpart. My goodness, I'm just going to leave this the way it is. That's sort of the counterpart to the first pre-chorus. This sounds a lot different. And my thinking is that they chose to really set this apart because this song does lack a bridge. We need that sort of deviation from what we've been hearing in order to move the song along properly. And at its root, this is the same pre-chorus as before. Let's listen to the first one. It's about a minute.
Ooh, certain things you just can't refuse. She wanna ride like a cruise, and I'm not trying to lose.
Right, that's the first one. Let's see where this one is.
Even if we gotta risk it all right now. I know you're scared of the unknown. You don't wanna be alone. I know I always come and go, but it's out of my control.
And what they've done is they have that guitar still holding it together, but they've kept that bass in there. But the most striking thing for me is his harmonies, right? The melody is very distinct and he harmonizes with himself. And that gives it a lot of bite, which is sort of that bridge feeling that I get from it without actually having to insert a bridge.
I know I always come and go, but it's out of my control.
Something interesting too. There's a lot of imperfections still in pop music. Now, I think you have the capability to make things perfect. You really do. If you put the time into a song, you can make it actually perfect. So the timing is exact. The pitch is perfect. The chord structure is precisely what it should be. And you can do that because everything is so, inside the box, as they say. It's produced in here versus in the physical world a lot of times. I know I'm over generalizing there. However, it is so important to know when it's okay to leave the imperfection in, because those imperfections actually help us connect with the music. It allows us to recognize that this is real. This is a real person that is having real feelings that we can identify with. And the first time I listened to the song, there's a little bit of timing off in his last line here in this pre-chorus.
Come and go, but it's out of my control.
I think when he says but it's out of my control, it's late, just a couple milliseconds. And you might not have noticed that. You might even still not be able to notice that. Maybe it's just, you know, from listening to music like this all my life, I'll pick up on that. But I latched onto that idea because it sounded off to me, but I liked it. And I think that shows a really important quality that producers nowadays need to recognize: when to leave an imperfection, and not just make it perfect because you can.
I know I always come and go, but it's out of my control. And you'll be left in the dust unless I stuck by you. You're the sunflower. I think your love would be too much, or you'll be left in the dust unless I stuck by you. You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower.
Yeah, there's first off, Post Malone's voice has such kind of that raspy quality to it. It's just great. It fits this song so well. But there's a vocal element behind there doing a little melody that's not in chorus 1. Right here. See, it's not in verse 1. It should be right here, but it's not. And I think they actually bring that back into the outro. And this is what really sets this chorus apart from chorus 1 for me.
You're the sunflower. I think your love would be too much, or you'll be left.
And they kind of mirror it there too. Da, da.
Or you'll be left in the dust.
A little more subtle there.
Unless I stuck by you. You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower.
Now on this repeat of that hook, a sunflower, they actually just leave in the production. Again, we build upon what we've already heard and progress.
Unless I stuck by you. You're the sunflower. You're the sunflower.
It's such a kind of lo-fi, gritty, analog sound. And if that's not dope, I don't know what is. Just listen to how this bass synthesizer ends the song. Oh, it's right there. Oh, it's so imperfect. And it's just great. Cool little harmony transition into this outro. And that guitar and an electric piano really kind of carrying us into the sunset there. Oh man, this has got to be the best song of that year. It's so good. I could listen to it for so long. And again, it's some of those imperfections and just the organic feel that it has is what I like about it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, there's a bunch more that you can go watch. They'll be down in the description. Have a great day. Catch you in the next one.